Hare Krishna. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadramai. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तनम की, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 29th chapter, talks between Narada and Prachina Barhi. Text 23 to 25. आधयो व्यादयस्तस्य सैनिका यवनाश्चरा भूतोपसर्गाशु रयः भूतोपसर्गाशुरयः प्रज्वरो द्विविधोज्वरः एवं बहुविधै दुःखै दैवभूतात्मसम्भवै क्लिश्यमाना शतं वर्षं देहे तमो व्रतः प्राणेन्द्रियामनोधर्मान् आत्मनि अद्यस्य निर्गुणः सेते कामालवान् ध्यायान् ममाहम् इति कर्म कृत् आदयो व्यादयस्तस्य सैनिका यवनाश्चराः भूतोपसर्गाशुरयः प्रज्वरो द्विविधोज्वरः एवं बहुविधैर्दुःखैर्दैवभूतात्मसम्भवैः क्लिश्यमानः सतं वर्षम् देहे देहितमोवृतः प्राणेन्द्रियामनोधर्मान् आत्मनि अध्यस्य निर्गुणः शेते कामलवान् ध्यायान् ममाहम् इति कर्म कृत् आधयो व्याधयस्तस्य सैनिका यवनाश्चराः भूतोपसर्गाशुरयः प्रज्वरो द्विविधोज्वरः एवं बहुविधैर्दुःखैर्दैवभूतात्मसम्भवैः क्लिश्यमानः सतं वर्षम् देहे देहितमोव्रतः प्राणेन्द्रियामनोधर्मान् आत्मनि अध्यस्य निर्गुणः शेते कामलवान् ध्यायान् ममाहम् इति कर्म कृत् व्याधयस्तस्य सैनिका यवनाश्चराः भूतोपसर्गासुरयः प्रज्वरो द्विविधोज्वरः एवं बहुविधैर्दुःखैर्दैवभूतात्मसम्भवैः क्लिश्यमानः सतं वर्षम् देहे देहितमोवृतः प्राणेन्द्रियमनो ममाहमिति माता इसको आदय व्यादयस्तस्य सैनिका यवनाश्चराः भूतोपसर्गा ऋषया ज्वरादि एवं बहूनि दैवभूतात्मसम्भवाय दृश्यमानसतं वर्ष देहे देहितमोरता प्राणेन्द्रियमनोधर्मा आत्मनि यद्यस्य निर्गुणः सेते कामलवान्याय ममाहमिति श्री श्रद्धा मदन मोहन की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की, श्री श्री गौरनिताय की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। Word to word meaning, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Adayah, disturbances of the mind. Vyadyah, disturbances of the body or diseases. Tasya, of Yavaneshwara. Sainikaha, soldiers. Yavanaha, Yavanas. Charaha, followers. Bhuta, of living entities. Upasarga, at the time of distress. Ashu, very soon. Rayaha, very powerful. Prajvaraha, named Prajvara. Dvividaihi, two kinds. Jvara, fever. Evam, thus. Bahuvidaihi, of different varieties. Dukkaihi, by tribulations. Daiva, by providence. Bhuta, by other living entities. Atma, by the body and mind. Sambhavaihi, produced. Klishyamana, subjected to suffering. Shatam, 100. Varsham, years. Dehe, in the body. Dehi, the living entity. Tamavrataha, covered by material existence. Prana, of life. Indriya, of the senses. Manaha, of the mind. Dharman, characteristics. Atmani, unto the soul. Adyasya, wrongly attributing. Nirgunaha, although transcendental. Shete, lies down. Kama, of sense enjoyment. Lavan, of on fragments. Dhyayan, meditating. Mama, mine. Aham, I. Iti, thus. Karmakrit, the actor. Translation. The followers of the Yavaneshwara, Yamaraj, are called the soldiers of death, and they are known as various types of disturbances that pertain to the body and mind. Prajvara represents two types of fever, extreme heat and extreme cold, typhoid and pneumonia. The living entity lying down within the body is disturbed by many tribulations pertaining to providence, to other living entities, and to his own body and mind. Despite all kinds of tribulations, the living entity, subject to the necessities of the body, mind, and the senses, and suffering from various types of diseases, is carried away by many plans due to his lust to enjoy the world. Although transcendental to this material existence, the living entity, out of ignorance, accepts all these material miseries under the pretext of false egoism, I and mine. In this way, he lives for 100 years within this body. Purport. In the Vedas, it is stated, Asangoyam Purushaha. The living entity is actually separate from the material existence, for the soul is not material. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the living entity is superior energy and the material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and so on, are inferior energy. The material elements are also described as bhinna, separated energy. When the internal or superior energy comes in contact with external energy, it is subjected to so many tribulations. In the Bhagavad Gita 2:14, the Lord also says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkhadha. Because of the material body, the living entity is subjected to many tribulations brought about by air, water, fire, extreme heat, extreme cold, sunshine, excessive eating, unhealthy food, maladjustments of the three elements of the body, kapha, pitta, vayu, and so on. The intestines, the throat, the brain, and other parts of the body are affected by all kinds of diseases that are so powerful that they become sources of extreme suffering for the living entity. The living entity, however, is different from all these material elements. The two types of fever described in this verse can be explained in contemporary language as pneumonia and typhoid. When there is an extreme fever in the body, there is typhoid and pneumonia, and they are described as prajvara. There are also other miseries created by other living entities. The state exacts taxes, and there are also many thieves, rogues, and cheaters. Miseries brought about by other living entities are called adi bhautika. There are also miseries in the form of famine, pestilence, scarcity, war, earthquakes, and so on. These are caused by the demigods or other sources beyond our control. Actually, there are many enemies of the living entities, and these are all described to point out how miserable this mental existence is. Knowing the basic misery of mental existence, one should be induced to get out of the material clutches and return home back to Godhead. Actually, the living entity is not at all happy in this material body because because of the body he suffers thirst and hunger and is influenced by mind, by words, by anger, by the belly, by the genitals, by the rectum, and so on. Manifold miseries encircle the transcendental living entity simply because he desires to satisfy his senses in this material world. If he simply withdraws from the activities of sense gratification and applies his senses in the service of the Lord, all the problems of material existence will immediately diminish. And with the advancement of Krishna consciousness, he will be freed from all tribulations, and after giving up the body, he will return home back to Godhead. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमावों विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामिनि नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणि निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणि नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Seeking blessings from His Grace Anandamai Prabhu and all the assembled devotees, so that I can speak something from this very wonderful purport of Srila Prabhupada as a service to all the Vaishnavas and for my own purification. So this chapter begins with discussion between Narada Muni and King Prachina Barishat. Prachina Barishat is telling that you explained something very great, but I couldn't understand properly whatever you told. So, can you make it little more simpler? Hmm? So, in that way, when he asked Narada Muni explaining everything in a whatever allegory he spoke, he is explaining what does it mean, each and everything. So, fortunately, before actually for us, Prabhupada explained in previous purports, previous chapters only, he made it very clear. So, this shows something. Narada Muni is very expert preacher and at the same time very sensitive also. So that Prachina Parishat will not hurt and at the same time he get the message. So, and we see same Narada Muni previously in some other section of Bhagavatam is preaching to Daksha's sons, Hariyashvas and Shavalasvas. There also he spoke something allegorical story, but they immediately understood. They immediately understood and they, went to perfect their life. And in that way, there we can see they understood very easily. So why? Because they already underwent so much austerity and they got thoroughly purified. When we are thoroughly purified, it is very easy to understand the message. So here, Prachina Barishat admits himself that because I am engaged in so much fruitive activities and karmakanda actually, so it is not understandable to me. So can you please make it more simpler? So we can see something similar actually in Mahabharata also, when uh, Kauravas plot that Pandavas should be sent into that Lakshagruha and should be killed alive by burning them. At that time, Vidura speaks to Yudhishthira Maharaj in very colloquial language. So at that time, nobody understands actually what he is speaking. Even Kunti Maharani also couldn't, understand. So Yudhishthira understands everything actually. So what they are saying is actually they are planning to kill us by burning alive in the house of lack, which Duryodhana invested so many lakhs to build it. And so we can see actually in some different things in the Bhagavad Gita also we can see in the at the end of second chapter is mentioned as the contents of Bhagavad Gita summarized. In the third chapter, Arjuna says, actually, I couldn't get what you are saying. Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohasevami. Tadeka vadanischitta, like that he says, actually, please instruct me clearly. Of course, if Arjuna understands everything, we don't get Bhagavad Gita more chapters. So it is Arjuna's humility. So like that, actually, here Prachina Varshat is very humble in one sense. Because of his humility, he is asking actually. Otherwise, sometimes even if you don't understand, also we say that I understood everything, and then we lose, right? So here he is not a kapati, even though he is, not able to understand, not intelligent, but he is not cunning actually. So a fool remains fool until he doesn't know only. But a fool try to remain like intelligent, without understanding. So he will remain like a fool throughout life. So here, one very surprising thing actually we can see that there is so much suffering in this world, but the living entity is happy in spite of so much suffering. That is one of the greatest, you know, surprising thing in this world. So much suffering here. Prabhupada writing about so many things. Three kleshas are there. Miseries caused by one's own body, mind, and other living entities, and from demigods, adhyatmika, adibhautika, adidaivic kleshas. So much is there actually in this world to suffer. That's why Lord also said this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam. That Lord already declared. But still, how the living entity is happy in this world, in spite of so much suffering around, actually, he is happy. Hmm. So, this we can understand through that story in Mahabharata. Actually, there is a person who is traveling in a forest. He was chased by a tiger. So, in order to escape from the tiger, he is running, 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 and he somehow happened to fall into a ditch. So, while going deep into the well, he caught hold of a tree which is hanging from the wall of the well. So he is hanging that with the tree, and he saw down there are some powerful cobras are there, and no, uh, there are crocodiles are there and down, and the tree is being bitten by two rats. One is white and one is black color rat that is biting the tree, and no, a tree is getting more and more weak because of that, and at any time it may get crack, and he can fall down and become eaten by the crocodiles. And on the top, the tiger is waiting. If he comes out, I will feast upon him. So during that time, he saw that there is some uh, honeycomb, and that is there laden with fully with honey, and that is on that same tree on which he is hanging, because he is moving the tree so heavily, and the drops of honey are falling, and that is falling on his head and on his you know on his nose and coming to his lips, and he is tasting the honey in between. That is the happiness in between so much anxiety which is around. And he felt, yeah, it is very nice. He forgot all the misery which is around, actually, just by the taste of little drops of honey. So this is how a living entity is happy in this world, actually, finding the little drops of honey. Mm. The same thing actually is explained by Prahlad Maharaj in one of the prayer. Kutrashisha shruti sukha mrugatrushnirupa kvedam kalevaramase sharujam viroha निर्विद्यते न तु जनो यदपीति विद्वान् कामानलं मधुलवै समयन्दुरापै. So he says the same thing. This body, which is actually full of so many house of diseases, and still a living entity is getting a little drops of honey of happiness in terms of you know satisfaction of our senses and ego, especially. So that makes us forget any amount of suffering. That is a beauty in this world is a person's ego gets satisfied, you know, so he can take any amount of austerity in this world. Hmm. That's what we see, especially outside politicians and all these people. It is a lot of stress actually, if you see. But in spite of so much difficulty and stresses are there, but still the satisfaction which they get out of puja la pratishta, and that makes them transcendental to all kinds of suffering in this world. So he's suffering, but the suffering is counteracted by that intoxication, ignorance, and that immediately balances everything. And he is ready to accept more and more suffering also. So this is the main reason actually here that is explained. And Prabhupada also explains actually in the Bhagavatam 5th canto that how a common person, you know, works so hard, travels 2 to 3 hours in local trains and everything, and he works for so many hours, and he has to satisfy the boss, by uh, through his work, and he comes back home and he enjoy a little bit sense gratification and again get rejuvenated and again ready to you know travel that many hours and work so hard. So that we can see actually how much a little sense gratification and little satisfaction to the false ego, how much can energize the living entity, and is ready to undergo any amount of you know austerity. So the solution here, uh, Prabhupada explains that from the Bhagavad Gita, Lord says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya sita ushna sukha dukkhada. So whenever it comes to a tolerance, we think about tolerating the misery. But Krishna is speaking here about tolerating the happiness also. So the person who can tolerate happiness, he can only tolerate misery. A person who cannot tolerate happiness, not exactly happiness, it is called sukha. A person who can tolerate sukha, he can only tolerate dukkha. And Krishna gives one more formula in the Bhagavad Gita: the sukha in this world is equal to dukkha. Hmm? If you want to experience really sukha, you should experience dukkha only. Then only you can experience sukha. Otherwise, you cannot experience sukha also. Hmm? So now you are experiencing some sukha of having a fan. So how you are experiencing, because there is dukkha of heat. Otherwise you cannot experience the sukha of having a fan. Right? We experience the sukha of chilled water because there is so much heat outside. If that is not there, if the chilled water is given to you, it will cause dukkha. Understand? So it is not so difficult to attain sukha in this world actually. It's so easy. If you want to be happy, you just stand for 2 3 hours and sit. You will become so happy. It doesn't require to experience so much Brahmananda. You just stand for 2 hours and sit. You will become happy automatically. You will become sukha. So our whole endeavor is like that actually. To the degree we want to increase our sukha actually, proportionately that dukkha also increases actually. Without that, sukha cannot be increased. So in the pursuance of increasing sukha, what we are doing is we are increasing dukkha imperceptibly. That's why Prahalad Maharaj said very famous thing actually. If you want to be happy in this material world, don't search for happiness. Stop looking for happiness. Actually, in the name of trying to become happy, you are increasing your counterpart, dukkha. The formula is like that: sukha is equal to dukkha, x is equal to y. If you want to increase x, you have to increase y also. If you make x into square, y also becomes square. If you make x into 2, y also become 2. So that cannot be actually. Without experiencing sufficient misery, we cannot be happy in this world. So, but actual happiness is something different only. Understand? Ananda is different and Sukha is different. Many of the times we mistake Sukha to be Ananda. So, Ananda comes from service actually. sacrificing our happiness for somebody else, that makes us happy. So that's how we see there are so many kinds of forums are there in this world. Actually, people do samaj seva and desha seva and kutumba seva. So people are ready to forego their happiness uh, for for the sake of others, and they try to become more happy. So this is all extended sense gratification, Prabhupada said. So, but the highest happiness you can find by sacrificing your comfort for the sake of Guru and Krishna. So that gives the highest returns, more than anything else in this world. So, like that, we can see in the case of so many pure devotees, so how they sacrificed their comfort in the service of Lord and Guru, and amidst so much disturbance, they are still happy. Hmm. Here we can see, amidst so much discomfort, they are still happy. How? Because they are satisfying their false ego. In the same way, by serving Guru and Krishna, try to satisfy our true ego. Amidst so much discomfort and misery, a person can happily go on. That's what we see in the Govardhan Leela, when Krishna lifted Govardhan with little finger, little touch. So that made Govardhan so transcendental that Indra is showering rains like anything, hitting with thunderbolt. But Govardhan is fully blissful because it is feeling that I am serving Vrajavasis and Krishna. You know, so that made him completely jolly in spite of so much thunderstorms and rainfall and you know thunderbolts. Hmm. So similarly, the same thing we can see in the life of Prabhupada and many of his followers also. And we see yesterday is a very special day. One of the dearmost servant of Srila Prabhupada, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he departed from this world and joined the Nitya Leela of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. And from his life also we can learn many lessons actually. And we see how he came in touch with Srila Prabhupada also is very extraordinary. Maharajji was very highly good in this academics also. He is a double MBA and he was CEO of Coca-Cola company at that time. That means you can imagine actually. And he was drawing very heavy salary. So at that time, he came in contact with the devotees. Devotees introduced him to Srila Prabhupada. His name was at that time Gopal already. So Prabhupada identified already he is very special. So Prabhupada told actually, take extra care of this person. you know. So at that time, Prabhupada asked, are you chanting Hare Krishna? Then he told, no Prabhupada, I am chanting Om. Then Prabhupada tells actually, Om is not a complete thing. You should add the name of Lord to that. You chant Om Krishna. So then he started Om Krishna like that. So and afterwards, Prabhupada told him actually you can stop that and chant Hare Krishna. you know. And actually, he was so inspired by Prabhupada movement, and he used to work outside and he used to offer the whole salary to Prabhupada. At that time, because Prabhupada went with only 40 rupees, he doesn't have anything actually. At that time, many of the disciples of Prabhupada actually they used to earn money and they used to contribute to Prabhupada for the service. We used to hear that Jayanand Prabhu also used to drive taxi and used to get money and run temple. So like that, Gopal Krishna Maharaj actually used to give the whole salary in the hands of Prabhupada, and at that time, his wife used to come for with expenses for the month, and Prabhupada exactly used to give that much money to her. So you cannot imagine actually the kind of surrender and dedication actually what they have in those days. And eventually, Maharaj accepted sannyas, and uh, because his expertise in marketing and everything, Prabhupada entrusted him the service of BBT. So you should market now books. Till now you marketing other things. Now it is your service to promote the books. So and he was made the chairman of BBT. BBT is Prabhupada's heart. It said Prabhupada gave his own heart in the hands of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. And from that time, actually, he took it as his life and soul, that service. And if you see his Pranati mantra also, actually, the Pranati mantra also includes that actually. His Pranam mantra, Prabhupada's Sahitya, that is printing and distributing. That is Bhagavad Padayate Namah, like that something. His Pranati mantra comes actually. His whole and soul is that only, printing and distributing books. And we see many other times he's offering to Srila Prabhupada during Vyas Puja. Every time he says actually about one new book got translated into this language, that language, always we get to hear. So in those days also, whenever he used to meet Prabhupada, he never used to go with empty hand. He always has to carry some new book which is printed. If he did not have any new book, he never used to go to Prabhupada. It's always, it is must that actually have to show Prabhupada this is the new edition. Like that. By his efforts now, Bhagavad Gita is translated into almost every language in this world. Now Bhagavad Gita is available in almost all languages, into including Urdu and Braille and everything. It is there. And now we see in Delhi also they have kept very huge Bhagavad Gita actually. And recently Narendra Modi ji also came and inaugurated in the local train. He came, Narendra Modi. So like that, actually, his one of the main contribution is opening big temples, and through that increasing the preaching and distributing the books. In Delhi, Prabhupada wanted there should be 14 temples. Now there are at least 18 temples I heard actually in Delhi. And this is one side, it is in terms of preaching and outreach. The other side is his own personal sadhana. That is even more exemplary. And we can see it is good fortune that we happen to witness Maharaj few times when we were in Pune occasionally, and used to hear his classes also. So wherever he goes, whichever temple he is there, in the morning he will be there in the altar doing Mangalarti. At whatever time he sleeps in the night, maybe 10, 11, 12, 2, whatever it may be, by 4:30 he is there in the altar. It's a great inspiration for all the disciples not to miss Mangalarti. Many of the times it is difficult for us to come to Mangalarti by 4:30. We come running here and there, no? But Maharaj is already in the altar. If Guru is doing altar Mangalarti, can a disciple miss Mangalarti? Guru Maharaj is doing Arti. So how can a disciple miss only Arti? It is not possible only. So like that, actually, we can see his great interest for the deities. He has his own personal set of so many Shaligrams and Gaurnitai deities and everything. He personally worships every day 2 hours. And at that time, some of his assistants read Prabhupada books. Like that, he every day 2 hours he hears also, he reads Prabhupada books also, and he worships personal deities also. So, and he has great faith in the Prabhupada books also. And always used to ask whenever he comes. First of all, he used in the beginning of the class he used to say, "Aap sab kaise ho? Achhe ho?" Like that, he very as a fatherly person he asks everybody and makes them very comfortable. And he used to ask actually, "How many of you read every day Bhagavad Gita?" Every day, not occasionally. Hmm. And Maharaj says, if you read Bhagavad Gita every day, even one sloka, I can guarantee you Maya will not touch you. So that is his strong faith in the Prabhupada books. And one of the common instruction he repeatedly gives to everybody, that is two things he says. One is chant attentively and read Prabhupada books very scrutinizingly. Hmm. So if these two things, if you can take care, almost all our problems will be solved. The problem is we don't do these two things only properly. We neither chant attentively or do not scrutinizingly read Prabhupada books. So Maharaj always emphasizes actually you should read Prabhupada books very scrutinizingly and chant attentively. So, and one of the incident once in the beginning days, uh, I think Maharaj accepted sannyas or not, but he was taken up full-time responsibilities in ISKCON. So once he went to Prabhupada in Vrindavan with a lot of problems, complaints and everything. At that time, Prabhupada asked, "Have you read my Bhagavad Gita cover to cover?" Then Maharaj told, "No, Prabhupada, there are so many issues are there." Again, Prabhupada told, "Have you read Bhagavad Gita cover to cover?" So he went into a room and he started reading Bhagavad Gita from beginning to for 2 3 days. He was there only, completely reading, you know, end to end. And after that, he packed his luggage and started going. And Prabhupada called. You told there are so many issues are there. No, Prabhupada, all problems are solved. Actually, all issues are got over. So, so that is his own experience also, and he gives the same instruction to all of us actually. And we see Maharaj is very visionary also actually. In the Pune, when our devotees want to make a new temple, Rai Shambhu planned for a very small temple. But Maharaj is the person, no, we should have very big temple. And because of Maharaj's inspiration, actually that very huge temple came into picture. And he personally told we should call President of India to inaugurate this temple. So Maharaj made all the arrangements so that President of India comes and he inaugurates the temple also. So because he knows whenever a great person, a famous person comes and opens, that attracts the attention of the people. Yad yad acharati sreshta taddate vetrojana. So like that actually he influenced many big personalities into the movement and brought to the feet of Srila Prabhupada. And and we hear actually a Vaishnava, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, a Vaishnava will never die. He always lives through his instructions and through his exemplary lifestyle. So, like that, even though a person who is not among us, still we can associate with him through his exemplary lifestyle and through his teachings. And one of the thing which we can see from His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says, the relationship between Guru and disciple is sincerity in sadhana and eagerness to serve are the basis of one's relationship with spiritual master. So that can be seen completely in the life of Srila Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So he is so exemplary in his sadhana and he is so eager to serve. That's how he is always connected to Prabhupada, and he brought many souls in the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. So in the same way, when we also do our sadhana very sincerely and when you are also eager to serve, so we can be always connected to our spiritual master. So there are so many glories are there. I know very few things actually. Whatever I spoke may be very short. So please kindly forgive me. Thank you all very much for your patient hearing. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, हिज होलीनेस गोपाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी महाराज की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।